the Interceptor Pro Swarm Trap. I came across this trap last year. I noticed it online. I saw some videos on it, and I saw it on Amazon, but I didn't get a chance to try it out. This year I thought I'd give it a shot. I typically use my homemade flower pot swarm traps, and those have been very successful for me. I made a video on that. If you haven't seen that, I will throw it up in the top right corner there. But this year I thought I'd give this a go. This, I think, has a couple of pros that my homemade swarm traps do not have, as well as a couple cons as well, but we'll kind of dive into that. The biggest pro I think this has over my homemade swarm traps is my homemade swarm traps have one frame that fits in between the two flower pots, and once the bees fill that frame up, they tend to build comb around everything else. If you catch the swarm and you know you have a swarm and you can take care of it quickly, it's a non-issue. I did have last year one, maybe two swarms I didn't realize I had caught right away, and by the time I figured it out, they had made a mess, and it essentially turned it into a small cutout operation, which was not clean. So this holds 5 frames on the inside, just like a nuke box does. Just like that, you can tell by the the depth, they have more volume in there, which is good, but they'll start working up here ideally before making a mess throughout the whole thing. So the fact that you can catch a swarm and they can sit in there for a few days, a week or so before you actually have to make sure they're out is a benefit, I think. This is the door here. It's in the trapping position, I guess you could say. Right now it's open. They do have this little door that you can close. That's one thing. I might have to take some sandpaper and smooth that out a little bit. It's not really wanting to close super efficiently. There it goes right there. It's pretty snug. It'll probably loosen up. But that right there is actually probably the easiest I've been able to get that door in. So I might have to just smooth it out with a little bit of sandpaper, but that's not too big of an issue. Without the frames, I'll show you what the inside looks like here. I'll get a close-up of it, but one of the things they recommend doing is taking some of your beeswax and melting it and going around the inside of the swarm trap here, and I think that's a really good idea. It also has a couple of vents here in the back, which I think is really important. I really like that because transporting bees, you don't want them to overheat or anything, so that's good. The mounting system here, I'm kind of curious about because it just seems a little bit flimsy, but it seems pretty strong. So yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be okay. It was just something I noticed when I picked it up with some frames, and it kind of just bent a little bit. But I think one of the things that is impressive about this swarm trap is it's really light. So that's really neat. Disadvantages of this would probably be the price. I want to say I paid around $175 for this. For me, I can justify that by saying if I catch one swarm in it, it pays for itself. At least in my area, nuke boxes are running $200 a pop. So if I can catch one swarm in this, for me, it pays for itself. So I think it might be a disadvantage. Maybe running the homemade swarm traps that I made the video on is a better option for you. That's fantastic. I've used those for years and had great success with them. For me, I just kind of wanted to give this a shot and see how I like it, and also some ease of use. Another thing that they sent me was a bungee cord to wrap around the swarm trap in a tree. I was pretty impressed by that. I think that's a pretty useful thing, so I appreciated that. He also sent me with this really large nail to be able to mount it. I'm gonna mount this in a tree, and it's not even my own tree, so I'm not gonna use this. I don't want to damage the tree or anything, so I'll be using some other methods to get it tied in. I'm not sure what yet, but I typically use like ratchet straps, and then I'll use this bungee cord as well. So he also threw in the Swarm Commander crushable vial lure. I haven't tried this yet. I've been curious about this, so I might give it a go. I typically use my spray Swarm Commander. I bought this a few years ago, and it's probably 3/4 of the way full, and I've probably caught at least 6 swarms off this one vial so far, so been really impressed with this. You don't have to have that. If you have lemongrass oil, that works as well. This is just what I've used for a while and I've liked. So yeah, your 5 frames will just slide in there like this. And one of these frames, at least one of these frames, I'll swap out with a dark brood comb as a bait frame. And then slide lid on and you're ready to start trapping. So here's the inside look of the Interceptor Pro here. It's pretty basic. The tree mounting mechanism kind of has an interesting triangle design, which I thought was pretty cool for supporting the weight. And then you can see the vents there in the back. Get the door open here. There we go. And then it just goes together with these small screws with nuts on the back. It was really easy to assemble, so I did appreciate that. It only took me maybe 10 minutes, so. And like I said, he recommends taking some beeswax and going along the inside in here and kind of getting the plastic scent away and adding some smell of a beehive. And then it has these just little locking mechanisms on the side, and that's how the door or the top just sits right on. So the Interceptor Pro, we'll see how she works. So I hung the Interceptor Pro about 10 feet or so in a tree, and I used the straplet it came with to go around the bottom and just some rope through the upper portion of it there. And I did use the Swarm Commander crush vial, so we're gonna see how well it works. And I actually already had a honeybee coming to check it out, so we'll see how it does.